All right. We are live. All right, we're a little bit early. I decided to just go ahead and get started because I think I got a few things I got to take care of today. So Sony A7 IV was leaked on Sony Alpha Rumors today. Sounds to me like somebody didn't upload it or uploaded their non-NDA, or maybe they hacked into Tony and Chelsea Northrup's channel earlier and saw the video. I actually got to watch the entire video. It's no longer available, so I know quite a bit about the camera already. So let's get into this. All right, here it is. So here's the actual images of the camera. Now, if you look here, there's no 4. So it's just the A7 now, right? Up here, you've got a record button. Look back here, there is an exposure compensation dial. So this switch right here is it's kind of like what you've got on this camera here. Let me switch back and forth. This ZV-E10, and it has a switcher on here for photo, video, and S&Q mode. So this little switch right here is for the S&Q mode, or switches between photo, video, and that kind of menu system for you. Instead of the typical old, the exposure compensation dial, this dial here is programmable now. So, I mean, obviously you can set it to be your ISO, aperture. I imagine you can probably change just about anything on that, and it is lockable. There's a little button right here that is lockable on it. And then obviously this dial here is above instead of recessed like the A7 III. You do have the record button here. You do have a fully articulating screen. Now, I was actually concerned about this because when I was doing the video the other day about the A7 IV, it said vari angle. One of the tags that was in the video that I did the other day said vari angle. Yeah, see, that's what I'm going to get into. The S5. This is my dream camera, folks. It's exactly what I wanted. But now that I'm here, and it's like everything I need in my camera, my Panasonic S5 already has. Now there is a much better lens selection, but I've got, this 20-60. I'm actually using the 20-60 today. I'm not on the Sigma lens. I'm not on the Sigma. I'm on the kit lens for the Panasonic S5, and I think it looks pretty darn good. I'm quite happy with it. And so, anyways, get back into this video. Tony and Chelsea Northrup, I don't know exactly how it went down, but they, their video came out. And there's an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, right? That these guys get, I'm sure, tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern time, or maybe just shortly after that. You're probably going to get, if you subscribe to a lot of different camera channels, you're probably going to get bombarded with everybody who's got the A7 IV already, who's probably had it for weeks, maybe even months. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the things you cannot argue when it comes to Sony is third-party lens options. Tamron makes beautiful lenses that are not overly priced. Sigma makes beautiful lenses that are still probably half of what the Sony lens is priced at, and probably many people say they're just as good. I like Sigma lenses. I think they're great. And but they also make them for the Panasonic camera. So I wish Tamron would make Panasonic. That would make things just amazing. If Tamron would make L mount lenses, they're starting to make Fuji. Maybe that's something they'll do in the future. Why not? But anyways, yeah. So the video, it got leaked. I don't know if they accidentally leaked it or just put the wrong data in or whatever when they went to go, because you can upload these videos, right? Or maybe somebody hacked into their account. Apparently, there is a way that if you set a video to, when you go to upload a video on YouTube, you can set it for a release time. And either they set their release time and were a day early, or somebody had hacked into their account and got it. I actually went to their account, went to their YouTube channel, and I couldn't actually find it. I don't subscribe to them. I'm not really that big of a fan of them. But I actually watched the entire video and got a lot of good information. So here's where it was actually embedded, and it's no longer there. But yeah, you do have the new menu system. You know, it's got everything I want. And now that it's here, you know, they're talking $2,600 for their price. And that's kind of I'm wondering if that's kit lens too, or if that's just body only. We'll get into that too. GH6. But I'm kind of in a totally different mindset right now when it comes to this. Like, this camera does everything that I needed to do, that I need my cameras to do. I also have an A7C if I really need just spot on autofocus. Yeah, it doesn't do 4K 60, but if I mean, it does everything else just perfectly fine. So, I mean, combine these two cameras together and I've got something that does everything that I need. And then I've got this A7C here for I want something a little bit smaller to carry around with. And I have been getting into investments lately. And to be honest with you, I like making money now. I mean, who doesn't? But I've been getting into cryptocurrencies. And don't ask me anything really about it. I put money in it and it makes more money. That's about all I can tell you when it comes to that. Like, some of these guys, I mean, I follow a totally different genre on YouTube now. I mean, I still do the camera stuff. I still love cameras. That'll never change. And I still go out and I shoot every weekend and film something every weekend, take photos every weekend. And the camera channel, this ain't going anywhere because I'm still interested in the news and I'm still interested in, you know, the cameras that are coming out. And, you know, just like what you said, yeah. Oh man, you got lucky then, because I bought it and it like 3 or 4 days ago, and it really hasn't done much. But I've had Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's been going up today. They got to the highest level of all time today, actually. So I made a little money on that. I was pretty excited about it. Ethereum went up today. I had some Ethereum that went up, and then I've got Doge, but I'm not really all that excited about Doge right now. I think the whole aura around Doge was over in the summertime, so I'm really thinking about pulling my money back out of that and putting even more into the Shiba Inu, because a lot of talk on that right now, man, and that could blow up like crazy. So, oh man, you've held SHIB since May. Whew. Yeah, you got enough money to buy the A7 IV. Money's not an issue with the A7 IV. I can buy the A7 IV. I'm not worried about that. It's just I am really getting into this Bitcoin stuff or cryptocurrencies. And it's fun. I'm playing around with that stuff. But to your other point, the GH6, there's rumors that the GH6 might come out this month somehow. And I had seen rumors also where it's not going to come out at all because of supply chain issues. And, I've been paying attention to that quite a bit, and that makes a lot of sense. This supply chain issue or not the supply chain issue necessarily, but the global chip shortage. And, that's a real thing, folks. I mean, that it kind of sucks, but cameras are going to be probably held up. And the thing is, a lot of people are saying, 2022, 2023. I have theories that it won't last that long, and I have theories that it might last a lot longer than that. I really hope, we can get all this stuff figured out, but I mean, I'm not in charge of it. I don't know. Even if I was in charge, I can't say it'd be any better. But, it's a crazy world we're living in right now. Like I said in the last video, the A7 IV, if it's a camera that you're really super interested in buying, you might want to jump on it the day that it pretty much comes available. Simply because, there might not be a huge supply of these things. If the A7 IV is like something you just, this is the one. To be honest with you, I mean, the specs of the camera, I mean, if they got more into the photography side, and I'm obviously more of a video person myself, and I would be much more interested in the video side of it. Obviously, Tony and Chelsea Northup are more into the video side, or sorry, the photography side of things. And I'm sure it's a great photography camera, and I like taking photos, but I don't really like to. I have no intentions of ever doing it professionally. I do intend to do a lot of stuff professionally in video. I've had a few things, but mainly live streaming stuff that I've done. I've live streamed some events, and having the full size HDMI would. I mean, I don't know if it actually. I didn't even think I got to that part of the video. I don't know if it has a full size HDMI, but that would be nice to have if it does. But yeah, I mean, it's a perfect camera, but I mean, I look at the Panasonic S5 and I'm like, well, this does everything that does, other than, I mean, I don't know if a video autofocus system is worth $2,600 to me. Otherwise, the camera's specs for spec are pretty much neck and neck, other than the autofocus system. And I don't think the Panasonic autofocus system is that terrible. Yeah, I mean, so and I've traded in a lot of cameras over the years, and I generally keep my stuff in like pretty much brand new condition. I take very good care of it. I don't throw it around and scratch it up or anything like that. When I've traded in cameras, it's almost in damn near brand new condition. And traditionally, they're given like 2/3 of the value of the camera, of the original price of the camera. Is what I've gotten traditionally. And recently, I traded in my FXT4, and I got like half, and it was like in brand new like condition. And the XT4 got me like a little over $1,000 with the kit lens. And I was actually like, that was kind of like all right, that was kind of a shock to me a little bit. I think camera companies are giving less now. So like, you look at the A7 IV, I mean, they'll probably turn around and sell it for $1,400-$1,500, depending on what kind of shape it's in, but they're probably going to give you less than $1,000 for it, for the A7 III, and it's still an amazing camera. To be honest with you, if you really need the autofocus system, I mean, the A7 III is still a great camera, and it's going to be a great camera. Even this isn't, I don't, unless the flip out screen, the fully articulating screen is something that's really, really super important to you. The A7 III is still a pretty damn good camera. This isn't an upgrade like the A7 II to the A7 III, because the A7 III was just in every way superior than the A7 II. Where I don't think the A7 II to the A7 III, yeah, the menu system. But here's the thing: if you've been using that Sony A7 III for a couple of years now, I've used Sony cameras for a couple of years now. Menu system doesn't bother me at all. I think that's another regurgitated thing when the typical camera reviewers do their camera reviews. Oh, the menu system's terrible. It's one of those things that just keep regurgitating you, like the Panasonic autofocus system is terrible. It's gotten a lot better. Honestly, like if you were to compare like the improvements, just the improvements, like Panasonic to Sony versus Sony and Canon when it comes to autofocus system. Remember, I'm starting at a much lower level, but Panasonic has come up this far where, Sony and Canon were already this high, and they've come up a little bit, I think the S5 is your go-to in that. And I would say, best of both worlds, get the S1H, but the S5, if you have the Atomos, buy that and the Atomos Ninja, it pretty much is the same camera, just a smaller form factor. Maybe the stabilization is a little bit less, but I mean, I'm assuming if you're doing, a ton of video, you either have some really good stabilization software or a gimbal. And then you're looking at $1,500 less. And, right now, the S5 is not on sale, but it spends way more time on sale than it does not on sale. So, generally you can buy that body alone for $1,700. And that kit lens, the 20 to 60, I'm on the 20 to 60 right now. It's, a really good lens. You get the camera for and that lens for $2,000. I don't think you can really go wrong with that. I think it's a really good option, the Panasonic S5. And then when you can kind of, if you want to compare it with this, the two things that Sony has, I think that's a huge advantage, are the fact that they're one mount, and if you want to start with this, like I said when I did the review on this camera, if you want to start with the ZV-E10 here, or an A6100, even A6000, and you'll go buy a more expensive lens here in the UK. Yeah, so actually my Panasonic S5, I'm in the United States, but I actually bought that at Wex Photo Video in the UK. So I actually have had this camera for a while. I bought it at Wex in Norwich. I was stationed there. Yeah. That's a tough call right there. I mean, if the thing is if you've got tons of glass already, I don't think you can go wrong with the S5 with the A7 IV. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think you can really go wrong with either camera. Includes Tamron 2875. Yeah, it's tough when you got a lot of glass already. Because I mean, obviously you could sell it and go strictly to the L mount. But with that being said, you really don't have a lot of lenses to choose from. I think that the Panasonic came out with the L mount's been around for years. So you can go buy Leica glass and stuff like that. But who buys that shit? Just overpriced. I'm sure they're great, but it's basically the same stuff as the Sigma and Panasonic glass. It's just got a different brand on the side of it, and and they triple the price. But the advantage that Sony has is like I said, you can work your way up from APS-C to full frame. But when it comes to full frame system, like you compare the Canon Nikon Z mount and Canon RF, both came out in 2018, and not far behind them was the Z mount or L mount. And Canon and Nikon have complete lineups of lenses already, right? I don't think. I mean, yeah. I mean, you could always. Who doesn't want a few more primes in the system? Even Sony would say that they could probably use a few more primes, but they have complete lineups and Panasonic doesn't, and they're not that far behind. If it wasn't for Sigma saving them, because they have a complete lineup and they continue to keep coming out with more lenses, they come out with far more lenses than Panasonic does. I think in the last year they've had a couple of primes, like the 85, the 50, and the 24, and then the 70 to 300, and that's it. That's all I can think of in the last year. I mean, yeah, those are decent lenses. Those are good lenses, but for a system that's just not very big, you would think that they would want to have 6 or 8 lenses a year, kind of like what Canon and Nikon have been doing. They've got everything already. Panasonic doesn't have a fast ultra wide zoom like a 16 to 35 f2.8. It doesn't exist. They do have a 24 to 70 f2.8, and they got a 24 to 105 f4. So I mean, they do have that the f4 covered, I suppose, and there's a 70 to 200 f4, 16 to 35 f4, but not f2.8 versions. They don't really have, in my opinion, pro versions other than the 24 to 70. They don't have a pro holy trinity, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. They're missing a 16 to 35 or somewhere in that range f2.8 lens. Now you've got that with the Sigma lens. You got a 14 to 24 f2.8. I like that lens. I actually bought that lens with my S5 when I was in England, and I didn't like the fact that it had a bulbous front lens on it, and you couldn't put a ND filter on there. I took it outside, and it was like it didn't look good to me. I wasn't impressed with it. I would really like to see a 16 to 35 f2.8 without that I can put an ND filter on. I'm very interested in the 16 to 35 f4, and that might be, you know, instead of buying an A7 IV, I might buy a 16 to 35 f2.8 for my Panasonic, or maybe a telephoto lens, something along those lines for my S5. But yeah, anyways, the A7 IV was leaked today. We'll actually get it officially announced in about 15 hours. About 15 hours from now, we'll be officially getting the A7 IV released. Of course, I'll do another video tomorrow night because, you know, we'll actually have price and full specs, and we'll know everything about it. And I'll come home and, of course, watch all the videos when I get home from work tomorrow and kind of see what everybody's impressions are. Something you got to understand when you watch a lot of these videos tomorrow, folks, is, oh, I did see the DJI announcement. Actually, I was going to talk about that. That camera looks badass. This right here. Now, the price on this is like wild, but I mean, it's got everything you could ever want. I mean, this thing is freaking awesome. It's like a giant gimbal camera, cinema camera. Like, I watched a lot of the footage. I watched Kai Wong's video. I watched Peter McKinnon's video on that, and just like the handheld footage is just stupid stable on this thing. Obviously, it's a gimbal. You know, it's a giant DJI Osmo Pocket, Super Osmo Pocket, if you will. I imagine these specs here are actually probably not even accurate. 6K video, 60K, 60 frames per second. Cinema 4K on this one as well, up to 120 frames a second. I imagine there's probably even more that we don't even know. You got RAW up to 48 frames per second, which is kind of cool. A lot of the what are those movies that they did in 48 frames per second? The little Hobbit movies. Those movies look really cool. So 48 frames in film is actually really interesting to look at. I think. Yeah, DJI does have. So they have one of my favorite. I don't shoot on this video. I just shoot in the standard picture profile on this, but I like the Cinelike D profile. It's my favorite profile to use if I'm going to do my own stuff on the side or shoot another video. I like when you add a little color grade to it, the colors just pop and it just looks so damn good. Panasonic colors are just, I think they're my favorite. That's one of the reasons I've always continuously gone back to Panasonic. Every time I started out with the Panasonic G9, I love that camera, and I was like, wow, the autofocus is. I did have issues. That camera I had issues with when it came to autofocus, and it was different than any. It wasn't just like this. Like sometimes I would just turn that camera on and it was just autofocus. It just would, like, you couldn't even go into manual focus. Like I disconnected the lens and turn it back on, shut the whole camera off, turn it back on, and it just was like, no, everything's blurry. Go into autofocus. Manual focus didn't matter. It just wasn't coming out. I don't know what. Maybe it was just the copy of the camera that I got. It was just no good. I'm not really sure, but you come back 20 minutes later and it worked just fine. So I got rid of the Panasonic G9, which I liked, and I've had other Panasonic cameras in the past. But when this S5 came out, I was like, this is everything that I've ever wanted in a camera. Everything, So I was like, this is the one I got to get, and I ended up buying it, and I've loved it ever since. And this camera is awesome. And to be honest with you, like, yeah, they always will. I agree with you. They just will. It's just the colors straight out of camera are really, really. I think they're the best. I think they're better than Canon's. I think I like the kind of like the warmer image that you get out of the Panasonic cameras. And the fact that you don't really have to mess with it much and to make it look good. I don't know. I've just always been a fan of the Panasonic cameras. The image quality that comes out of it. They're always super high packed with features, 10-bit video and, 4K up to 60. This new Panasonic GH6 is going to be just amazing. And the great thing about Micro Four Thirds is that you just can't beat with a full frame camera is lenses. Two major things. I mean, you got two major companies. You got Olympus and Panasonic that make lenses for Micro Four Thirds, right? And you've got complete lineups on both sides, and they both work just fine. And you don't have to break the bank. If, like I've said in the past, like in that case, a 25 millimeter lens. We'll go with a 25 millimeter lens. If you need a 25 millimeter lens that you don't think you're going to use all that much, it's just maybe, hey, you want to try it out, or you got some sort of a specific type of shoot and you just need that specific focal length. You don't want to spend a fortune. Well, they've got $150 25 millimeter lens. They also have a $500 and something 25 millimeter lens. If you want to get something a little bit more professional, it's a little faster. But I think, in most case scenarios, the $150 lens that you can buy that's 25 millimeters is going to work from almost anything you want to do. You've got those beautiful Sigma lenses for the system as well. The 16 mil, the 30 mil, and the 56 millimeter 1.4s. I do kind of wish, because Sigma came out with the 18 to 50 F2.8 yesterday, but it didn't come out for Micro Four Thirds, from what I understand. It came out for Panasonic L mount, or Leica L mount, whatever you want to call it. Came out for Sony E mount as well, but it didn't come out for. This is one of the things I thought that we would probably get a APS-C version of the L mount in Panasonic, because right now there's 4 lenses that are designed only that are L mount that are designed only for APS-C cameras, but they don't have an APS-C camera. So I do fully expect that at some point we're going to get an APS-C. That's why I did a video a while back on thinking that maybe the GH5 or GH6 would be a APS-C camera for L mount. Obviously that doesn't make sense because it's a G series camera. I get that, but it's still something I would love to see. Yeah, the GH. I mean, there are really, really nice looking cameras. And I think the GH6 is going to have a slightly different design, it seems like, which may improve upon what they currently have. Rumor has it that there's a potential for a hybrid autofocus system on the GH6. So maybe some sort of phase detect autofocus points, which would obviously improve their autofocus system. If somehow Panasonic does that and they come out and they've got the best autofocus system in the business somehow, I think they take over in the video market completely. Anybody who's really, really paying attention, I suppose. You know what I mean? Like I said, we were talking about earlier, the colors right out of the camera. The Cinelite D is, I think, the best profile to work with when it comes to if you're trying to do a little color grading. I like that. It's easy to work with. It looks good. It doesn't take a whole lot of tweaking. If you're looking at something for workflow, to speed up your workflow. Yes, yeah, I've heard that it was going to drop on the 27th. Now, with that being said, I'll show you something real quick. So if you go up here to 43 rumors, this is OM Digital. So what used to be Olympus, they do have, I'm not even showing you, my bad. Yeah, so there's an announcement coming on October 27th for OM Digital, their new WOW camera. So the part that's interesting about this is because Olympus sold their camera company about a year ago, right? right around the time COVID kind of like kicked off. They sold their camera company, and now it's just called OM Digital. It's no longer called Olympus, apparently. And I guess all the camera names have changed a little bit. Olympus has better stabilization than even Panasonic does, the Micro Four Thirds. Their stabilization in their video is just spot on, but they don't put a lot of video specs in their camera. However, a new owner may change that. With there being a completely new company there, I mean, here's the thing. I know a lot of old-timer photographers, they don't really want to admit this, but if it wasn't for the video folks out there shooting with these cameras, the camera industry would be dead by now completely. Video is selling. I mean, you don't see cameras anymore come out with like major spec bumps when it comes to photography. Yeah, they boost up your spray and pray shooting, but Panasonic said they were selling Lumix. I've heard that too, that they're going to sell Lumix, which is kind of a bummer. I hope that's not true. Either way, I think Lumix will stand on their own, and I don't think we're going to skip a beat when it comes to cameras. But with these guys selling OM Digital Solutions, OM Digital now, maybe they'll start to put more specs in their cameras, and maybe we're going to get a high-end video type camera from Olympus, and they've already got the best stabilization in the business. So if we get a high-end video camera from Olympus, that could be a game changer, because they have phase detect autofocus in their cameras. Even in video, one thing you don't see a lot of people using Olympus cameras for video. They're photography cameras. They really are. A lot of sports and wildlife photographers, because obviously you get the 2x crop factor. So you put a 100 to 400 lens on there. Now you've got a 200 to 800 millimeter lens, and you can reach out and get something with that. Unlike anything like full frame, and then you get the full readout of the sensor. So if you got a 20 megapixel sensor in there, and you got obviously you can go and do that with like a Canon, and use an APS-C sensor or APS-C lens on a full frame sensor, but then you're going to cut into the resolution. So if OM Digital comes out with a really badass video camera, that could be pretty cool. It could be kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? 30-something minutes in. This is an interesting camera to me. There's been no spec leaks. That's why I haven't done a video on it. There's been 0 specs on this. Like this is all I can tell you right now. It's a wow camera. That is it. That's all we know at this point. It's a wow camera, whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah. So this is supposed to be 8 o'clock Eastern time in New York. So my time, 7 a.m. on the 27th. So next Wednesday, a week from today, we should be getting a new camera. But I heard the 28th on the Panasonic GH6. I actually had heard a rumor on the 28th for the GH6. So we'll see if that's actually true, obviously. But yeah. Anyways, that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream podcast on the A7 IV tonight. It was great to have a little conversation. I do miss England like crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you on that one. I lived there for a little over 4 years, and I have been away for about 4 months. I had a guy come in from Manchester the other day to my work, and man, just hearing a British accent again just was like music to my ears. I don't even know why. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you guys. I'm retired Air Force now. I came back to Little Rock, Arkansas for a while until I can get off to the Philippines. But I was at RAF Lakenheath in England. That was my last assignment in the Air Force. 20 years, all done. So I love the city of Manchester. That's such a beautiful city. I don't know. I've been going to Manchester since like 2009. It was my first time there, and it's got a little place in my heart, Manchester's a beautiful little city. But yep. Anyways, thanks for talking. We'll get back to you hopefully tomorrow night when we get this camera released, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Or actually, it's pretty late at night there, so have a good night.